graduation, no exaggeration. Daddy Haitian, mama Brooklyn made. I was caught up in the maze trying to find a way out. First time smoking with the drummer in the church, how that play out. Religious stuff was played out, really wasn't work. Like these church folk acting the worst. Yo, I don't get it. I was dazed and confused, so I blazed on a few on a daily. Until the Lord saved me. He was like, get about that funk. Called you before your mama knew you. Watch them hypocrites, but believe me, they was 9 and 2. You gon' know them by their fruits, and that's how they gon' know you. So I know they said they love me, see, but what they show you.
Look how far we came. Through the hurt and the pain, we still exalt your name. Never be the same. Cause I know, yeah, I know that you called me. You called my name. Never be the same.
I like that transition. That's pretty cool. Hey guys, how y'all doing? Pastor Dee Jay here, the People's Pastor. Hope y'all having a great day. I just wanted to jump on here just for a few minutes and be an encouragement for this week to come. And let you know that everything's going to be okay. No matter what you're going through, one day it will be okay. You know, we travel through this life and we do this journey called the way. And when we walk the way, it is by far the best thing that you could ever do. I know that a lot of guys and gals, and try to get this camera a little better. All right. I know a lot of guys and gals, they get pressured and they feel overwhelmed with the world and the things that are happening. But I want to come in here to tell you today that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the world says. It doesn't matter what anybody says. Because the only person that really matters is God, and following after Him and following after His way. Because His way is the only way that we ever need. I tell you guys to get a Sabbath because it's important. It was important for me to understand what it meant to be having a Sabbath. And I tell you guys to have a Sabbath because it's so good for your health. It's so good for your mental health. It's so good for many things. But most of all, it's good just for you and God to be alone and be in the presence of what He wants you to be in. I find myself at some Mondays trying to figure out what to do with myself. But most of the time I know what I'm going to do on a Monday, on a Sabbath. It's just something that I do every week now. But I want to tell you the reason why I tell you guys this is it's not because I want you to take time off work or anything like that. It's so you can have time to decompress. It's so you can have time to think about the world around you. It's so you can have time to process information that you've received throughout the week. You know, most of you guys know I've went through a lot of just crazy times here in the past couple of years, and I've come out on the other side. I'm stronger. I'm better. I'm faster. You know, I'm getting ready to go on a journey with you guys, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun. It has to be done in a proper way. But it's because I listen to Him on these days that I know how to maneuver, how I know to make that next move, how I know to shift, how I know to do this or do that. Because if it wasn't for these days, I wouldn't be able to hear it. Like today, I'm getting ready to do something pretty big. It's a decision that I've had to come to, and it's hard. It's a hard decision. You never really want to. It's an exciting decision. It's exciting. I'm glad for it. But you never want to have to make decisions because you always want things to just keep going. Look, when I was in construction, I learned about building things. Nothing just does this. It doesn't. There's so much you have to adapt to. I used to run blueprints. I used to know, you have to know your blueprints, your specs, all of that stuff. And even when I knew all that, even when I took it to the table and got ready to build houses or buildings or commercial buildings or run internet or whatever I did at the time, I always thought that I had the best plan laid out. And that nothing was going to stand in my way. I wasn't going to have no obstacles, and I wasn't going to have to make no decisions. This is how it was going to get done, and that was it. No, my friend, that's not how that works. And life is pretty much like that the same way. We wake up every day after day doing pretty much the same thing over and over again in hopes that one day we'll figure out something to do with ourselves. But those require decisions. Those require decisions to be made that are hard, that are difficult, that are easy, that are, but you can't do it all by yourself. And I say that because I haven't done this whole ministry that I'm a part of. This whole thing is, none of this has ever been by myself, and it's never been for me up until now, because it's for me now. I've spent many years being for everybody else, and God said this was the year for me. And I see that. I see what he meant by that. And, you guys hear me say a lot of times, oh, big things are coming, big things are coming. Yeah, that's me. That's me saying big things are coming. But I know things are coming, but I just want them to hurry up. And a lot of times I wasn't taking the time to hear from God, because I wanted them to hurry up and get here, because I know they're going to be great plans and they're going to be amazing, and I'm going to change the world, and people are going to hear the gospel like they've never heard before, and it's going to be so amazing, and people's lives are going to be changed, and I want to hurry up, but you can't. You see, when you hurry up and you make split-second decisions, you have to go through periods of times where you have to let it ride. You have to let that stuff ride, man, and it sucks. Like, for the past few months, I've been trying to make not a split-head decision, but a change-altering decision, which is good. Like I said, y'all will see me a lot more here soon because of these decisions, and I'm excited about that. But I've also had to be able to take my Sabbath, process, look at the world that's going around me, allow myself to be centered, allow myself to get focused for the week. And so, like today is my Sabbath, and I do whatever I want to on the Sabbath because I know I'm in the presence of the Lord, and I cherish that. He said keep it holy. He didn't tell you what to do on it. He just said keep it holy. So we're going to keep it holy every day. Making decisions, doing things that are different and against the grain, you get a lot of hate. And because you get a lot of hate, that's why you need a Sabbath. Like, I've been getting a lot of hate here lately. A lot of hate. I don't express that a lot, but I mean, eventually y'all hear more and more about that stuff, because it's not yet time, but it is coming very soon. What's beautiful about it is that even though I get all this hate, I mean, I'm talking about I'm getting hate from family, from friends, from this, that, and the third. All it keeps continuously showing me is that obviously my life is worth looking at, and that my life is changing them somehow, some way. And what they're seeing me do doesn't make sense to them, and so they would continue to hate other than just trying to relate. And, it's disheartening, it's hurtful. It's, being bashed, your name bashed, your character bashed. I get emails and text messages all the time about stuff, and I'm going to continue to get that stuff. But I knew that when I accepted the call from Christ, from Yahweh, that I was going to get this, and it was going to happen. Some of the things I never knew that was going to happen, but I get it now. I get now why I went through some of the things that I went through. And in time, I'll be sharing that with you guys. All things got to be prepared so we can do it with flawlessness. One of the things that we've been going through with the ministry and For Christ Radio and stuff is that we're not always been flawless. Like, it's always that one thing. Tommy Pierce, a big shout out to Tommy Gunn. I ain't talked to him in a while, but big shout out to you, buddy. I love you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. You are not forgotten. You are not forgotten, my friend. It's always been just that one thing. It's been that one thing. It's always been that one thing that seemed to get us not to be flawless. Well, that's why, like today, we're going to change that. Today, we're making decisions on how not to be flawless. Why am I telling you this? It's all because I took the time. I took one day every single week, and I sit and I rest. I sit and I process, and I sit and I listen, and I sit and I spend time, and I sit and I do whatever. But at the end of the day, I take time to where I can make decisions. Men, you probably need a Sabbath more than a woman. But I just say that only because as head of the house, and as somebody that has to carry the load of the house as far as decision making and things like that, you guys really need to get you a Sabbath if you really want to please God. And I say that because I try to please God every day, and I do. Man, I'm telling y'all what, my life today, I would have never thought that it would be, and I really didn't. I would have never really thought today I would be sitting in the place that I am today. I just never did. I thought my years here in the recent past would look different than it does today, but it does look the way it is. And I tell you what, I would not change nothing that's ever happened to me. I'd live 3 lifetimes just to be where I'm at today. There's nothing that I would not do any different. And people will say, well, when do you do this? And no, I wouldn't do anything different. I would have never learned to take a Sabbath. I would have never learned to be the man that I am today. I would have never learned how to stand for character. I'd have never learned how to stand for anything if I hadn't have went through the processes that I've went through and haven't been able to take the time to process. Look, you have to take the time to process. If you run 90 miles an hour every day and you never stop, how do you get gas? If you run seven days a week, how do you stop and rest? How do you get to the decision making of your life? I look back and I'm nobody special. I'm just a nobody. And when I look back on the things in my life, it's because I've taken this day and been able to exemplify what God has done in my life through making decisions and processing information and being able to take it out to the real world and being able to implement it. That's what's beauty about taking a Sabbath. That's what's the beauty about being able to sit back and relax and let God take the wheel. I was at one point in time, I would run 7 million miles an hour. There's no way I wouldn't do that today. My time is too precious. Your time should be too precious. There should never be an amount of money or dollar bills or anywhere that would ever take your time. But I know that it does. I know that at the end of the day, it does take your time. It takes your time from your family and all of these other things. And so what happens is you forget to take care of yourself. One of the most important things to do for yourself is to take care of yourself. And that is to find you a day to take for a Sabbath. I do Mondays because it's just the most convenient for me. I'm not telling anybody a particular day. I know when sometimes when I talk to people about this, they'll say, well, it's a Saturday. Man, look, it doesn't matter. It really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It says keep it holy. Man, if you go find a day because all you've got is Wednesday off and that becomes your Sabbath, that's because if you know who God is and you've heard from him and you've talked with him and you've loved on him, then he's going to let you know that's okay. You don't have to hear approval from the people's pastor. You ain't got to hear approval from me. You ain't got to qualify it to me. You ain't got to do none of that stuff for me. You know, the thing about when we follow Yeshua and the things that he's laid out for us, if we would follow what he said, we would be less judgmental people. Like Yeshua came and I said this on Friday. Yeshua came and he told everybody, I am the Son of God and I can judge every single one of you because that's the authority that the Father gives me. But he says, I didn't come here to condemn you. I come here to be a sacrifice to give you salvation so you can get back to the Father. You know, that's dope. That is strictly so freaking dope, man. But yet we take it for granted by not being able to produce good outcomes. And there are people that run 90 miles an hour and they're great and they're successful and they've got the biggest businesses and that's everything, man. I guarantee you they find time to rest though. I guarantee you go out to these millionaires, because I've been out with millionaires before, and I tell you they'll take in, they'll rest. They ain't got no problems resting. Do you think they buy yachts just to have yachts? They buy yachts so they can go on them. They buy sailboats so they can go on them. they find their time to rest. It may not be a Sabbath, but they do find their time to be the rest. You'll find the most successful people in this world will also have the most successful rest time. They just will. Whatever that looks like. I'm not telling you follow after me. I always tell you, don't follow me, follow Yeshua. And if you follow me, just make sure you read the word, because that's where I want you to hold me accountable to. Because that's how I live my life. With my relationships, with my romantic relationships, with anything like that, I follow after the word so I can treat that person that way. Like, there's no better joy for me than to be able to treat somebody how the Bible tells us to treat one another. I love that, because if we just truly apply it, then we would be better people. But we don't do that. Well, I do. I'm done saying we don't do that. I do that. These other people may not, and that's fine. Y'all bash, not y'all. I have enough people bashing me anyway, so y'all, yeah, I do that. I do that, and I'm okay with saying that. Y'all need to find a way to get back to knowing who God is, who Yahweh is. Y'all need to get back to knowing who Yeshua is. I keep saying his name because that's his name. And we got so far from that. And so I'm speaking about it. And I'm speaking about having a Sabbath. And I'm speaking about these things. And I know, like I said, I get a lot of backlash from people about, well, it has to be this day or this day or this day. And it doesn't have to be any day. It just has to be the time that you set apart for God. And it has to be the time that you set apart that you and God are going to spend that intimate moments with him. And it may be with your husbands. It may be with your wives. That may be how you receive from God. I can't dictate that. What I can tell you is that if you truly follow after him, God, not Yeshua, if you follow after God, then you'll be awesome. We think we're supposed to follow this. We're supposed to follow Yeshua, and we're supposed to mimic everything that he did. However, we won't ever be able to do that. I can't mimic Yeshua. I've tried to follow after him, and I try to be an example, as he said, in my life. But I can't do that. I can't. It behooves me every time I think about what Yeshua did on that cross. Like, he died for me. I don't know, short of my wife or my kids, maybe some of my family members, I don't know if I could die for complete strangers. And especially if they're going to sin against me. Ah, man. Or my father. That's why we should take it a little bit more serious than what we do. We take this open gift of eternal life and this eternal salvation that Yeshua provided for us because we get to go back to the Father, that we end up taking it for granted. We end up taking it for something that it's not. And I'm here to tell you that at the end of the day, knowing him will change your life more than anything else. Knowing him will change your life more than anything else. The Spirit just stopped me, so I've got to go ahead and let this out and keep going. But I didn't want to be before you long. I didn't want to tell you good things, and great things are coming ahead. It seems like every time I said that, just that one thing keeps getting involved. But I know it's always been that one thing to keep me patient and keep me humbled. But October's just around the corner. I can't wait. I love you guys. Have a good day. Happy Sabbath. Pastor Dee Jay here, the People's Pastor. Will you go?